I am Marlene Motivates, and welcome to your dose of positivity on this Friday for Relationship Friday. I am Marlene Motivates, and as I always say, just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself. Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself. You will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Hey, motivators, how are you doing? Happy Friday. I am Marlene of Marlene Motivates, and welcome to your dose of positivity on this Friday. I appreciate every single one of you motivators that supports me on this channel and everything that I talk about. And shout out to all of my channel members. Shout out to all of my mods that hold it down, and to all my new motivators family. Thank you so much for being a part of this motivational family where we speak about motivation, inspiration, positivity, mindset shifting. And on Fridays, we go into relationships. Okay. And before I get into today's topic, I have to go to the chat and welcome in. Okay. Yes, you guys are always welcome to do that. And hi, Miss Tamika. How are you doing? Welcome in. I appreciate you being here. Happy Friday. Hey, Jackie. How are you? Welcome. How are you guys doing? Thank you so much for being here. And anybody who is, even if you're in the background, if you could hit the like, I'd really appreciate it. So, everybody, today on Relationship Friday, we're going to be talking about 8 things that toxic people do. Let me put up my little overlay right there. 8 things that toxic people do. So we're going to get started in talking about those 8 things. Let me start off by first, defining toxicity, because that's very important and key to today's topic and discussion. And a toxic person is someone whose behavior is unpleasant or malicious towards others, and it negatively impacts your life. So, toxic people can be self centered, manipulative, abusive, and lack empathy. Okay. Now, throughout this discussion, I want you to think about some people, maybe from your past or maybe in your present, and sort of check in and see, do I have toxic people in my life? The reason for this discussion is for us to talk about it and for us to understand that there are toxic people and we don't have to put up with it. We can make choices. We can have better thoughts. And the most important thing is, I want all of you motivators to understand that you have a choice. You have the choice, you have the right to choose who you surround yourself by, what you listen to, and what you do, by your actions. So, there is power in choice, and you definitely have a choice to make every single day. But today in this discussion, we want to start off by talking about 8 things that toxic people do. If you're taking notes, it would be awesome if you would write some of these things down, or if not, just enjoy this discussion today. So let's start off by saying that almost every toxic person that the first thing that they do is they excuse their behavior. They will blame everybody but themselves. They're gonna excuse their behavior. It's because my mom or my dad or my cousin or this person or somebody I'm in a relationship did X, Y, and Z, and that's why I do what I do. There's you can if you want to make an excuse for your behavior, you will. Just because a person makes excuses, it does not mean that that justifies it. It doesn't mean that that makes it right. And a lot of people who are toxic don't understand that. They think because many times they were coddled, they were never told no, and some other things that we're going to talk about in the series of this discussion. But most of the time, people who make excuses from their childhood, they've been doing this for a long time. They've been making excuses for their behavior, or other people in their life will excuse it like it's okay, and it's not. Okay. We don't have to put up with the toxicity from other people. Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate it. And thank you, Miss Tamika, for dropping emojis. Hey, Grammy's Journal, how are you doing? Welcome and happy Friday to you. Thank you so much for being here. So let's start off by going into this and talking about making excuses. What are some of the excuses that you may hear from, a family member, a spouse or significant other, a friend, a sibling, or a relative, or, even sometimes ourselves? Now, I know that we usually tend to think about people that we know as being toxic, but speaking from experience, being a toxic person, I remember what it was to be in that skin, and it's not an easy thing to admit that you are toxic. And I know for sure that I was a toxic individual because I didn't know my worth. After years of being, put down, talked down to, zero self esteem, you just think that this is a normal. And a lot of people who are toxic believe that what they're doing is right. It's justified. This is just who I am. And I'm here to say that at a certain period of time in my life, I had to learn to mature and grow up and say, it's time for me to stop blaming whoever it is, whoever hurt you, harmed you, disappointed you, disrespected you, because now you're an adult. And as an adult, we have to do better than just make excuses and blame others. We have to accept and assume responsibilities for ourselves and our actions, because it gets old. It does. It gets old. We have to get tired of, always making excuses. And I'm sure other people get tired of us always making excuses, excusing our behavior, excusing our controlling nature, excusing the jealousy, excusing so many things. Like I said, if a person wants to make excuses, then that's what they'll do. But a person who wants to make changes, they will. And I speak that from experience, from living in it. Until I was sick and tired of making excuses, until I was ready to grow up, until I was ready to get in that position to say, enough is enough. It's time for me to stop doing that. And until somebody who is toxic makes a decision that I no longer am going to make excuses, I'm no longer going to blame anybody else, I'm going to do what I need to do. See, it comes a time in your life as an adult where you come to that fork in the road where you're going to continue to always make the excuses, or you're going to look and say, start looking at yourself in the mirror. And it's one of the hardest things, motivators. I don't know who can testify to that. It's so hard to look at yourself and to look at your flaws and to say, I need to improve and do better than this, and that. We all know our issues, and we also know the issues in others. But many times we will highlight the flaws in other people, but don't look at the ones that we have. See, that's personal growth, that's maturity, that's responsibility. And I don't excuse my poor behavior from the past, when I was immature, when I was low vibrational, when I just wanted to do what I wanted to do because I was selfish. And ultimately, people who are toxic, it all goes back to the core, the root cause, as being selfish. Most toxic people only care about themselves and what they want, and not what another person wants, and how it affects another person, how it will hurt, harm, disable, disappoint. We let people down when we don't do the right thing. We let people down when we're disrespectful. We let people down when we don't do what we know that we need to do. So I'm here to say to all you motivators, I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying we all know the things that we need to do within ourselves. Just like we so easily can highlight the flaws of other people, but also do we highlight our own? Are we a work in progress? Are we working on ourselves? Are we allowing ourselves to be honest with ourselves? Yeah, that takes a very mature woman or a very mature man to say, I do this, and this, and how can I improve and make myself a better quality human being? So I applaud all of those mature women and all those mature men that are putting in the work to work on themselves from the inside. See, a lot of people, they put so much effort and energy into what they look like. They could fly. I mean, hair done, nails done, the guy well groomed, smelling good, looking good, have everything together. So it seems on the outside, but on the inside, what really are you made of? What kind of individual are you? How do you treat other people? Are you respectful of others? See, a person who can learn how to value themselves will also learn how to value others. And when you learn how to value yourself, you'll be mature enough to say, it's time for me to stop making excuses and start making changes. See, that's the elevation. That's the personal growth motivators that I want you all to get into, working on our own self growth, but also working on the people that we attract like a magnet in our romantic relationships, with our friendships, with our siblings or relatives, what we do for work. If we are not in a good space, and we are toxic, we are going to make other people around us miserable. And we're going to also be attracted to other toxic people. So, what are some of the excuses that we may make? We may make excuses. We're too busy. We're too tired. I've always been this way. I don't want to do it. See, we start to, after a while, you get a little immune. You get used to being rude. You get used to being disrespectful to others. You get used to not supporting other people. You get used to being that, like, I don't give up about anybody, right? We get into that mode, or we know of people who are like that, that only care about what they want and about what they need, and not about what you want and you need. And we have to be careful for surrounding ourselves with those type of individuals, because we start to become just like them, and we want to be better than that. We're not little kids. Every day we get a little bit older, and we should get a lot wiser. Okay, we should get older and we should get wiser, but many people don't. A lot of people don't get into that space of growing. Okay. Hey, Shay, how are you doing? Happy Friday. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to my mods and my channel members. I don't have the time to help you now, but always want to come to you for help when they need it. Yes. And that's what they say. Mm-hmm. They want to help you, but they don't want to help themselves, or they only want you to support them, but they're not over here supporting you. It's one-sided, and we can't deal with people who are one-sided. We deserve better than that. We're not doormats, motivators. We're not fools. And when somebody shows you who they are, when they show you that they're toxic, when they show you that they're evil, when they show you that they're a manipulator, when they show you all of these things, they're right in front of your eyes. Their actions prove it every single day. Will you believe it? Will you believe somebody when they show you who they are? Hi, Miss Eunice. How are you doing? Happy Friday. All is well here. I hope you are well as well. Thank you so much. Yes, Shay. hmm Yes, once we fix our flaws, we are better prepared to help others with theirs. And I can say, I think going through being the immature, I call myself a little girl because I definitely wasn't a woman. When you're in that space of you're being immature and you're still working on your inner child, you don't know your worth, you don't know how capable you are, you allow people to do certain things to you. You allow people to disrespect you, you allow people to manipulate you, you allow people to force you into things that you absolutely don't want to do. But once you get into that zone and space of self acceptance, I accept myself, I receive myself, I see my gifts, I see my talents, I know my purpose. The more you get to love yourself, the more you get to be in tune with your purpose, your reason, your passion, your inner light, your own joy, your peace of mind. Once you get in tune with that, it's harder for people to manipulate and use you, for toxic people to come and suck you in, or bring you down their rabbit hole. But it still can happen. Yes. Yes. Yep. It's a lot of people that are that way. See what I missed. Yes. Yes. Hey, Sugar Love, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Happy Friday. I hope you're doing well. Yes, when I made excuses, I was bound to toxic situations. And that's the whole thing about it, is that when we are we are toxic ourselves. Let's just call it what it is. Let's be honest with ourselves. When we are toxic, we draw more toxic people. So I had to accept that part of me, that you need to put some work into yourself, and you need to evaluate, why do I think I deserve to be treated like garbage? Why do I allow this person to disrespect me? Why do I do this or that? Why do I feel that I have to be there and support the ones that don't support me, or the ones that are rude? We don't. See, we give people too much freedom. We give too much people too much power over us, power over our mind, power over and controlling and manipulating us. And many times it's because we tell people too much of what we have going on in here. We got to learn to keep some things right in here and keep things close to our heart. We got to learn to just stop talking so much, just learning to zip it. Just zip it, right? We've got to learn to just zip our mouth and to not tell everybody everything that we want and what we know. Hey, Nark, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Happy Friday, listening and working. This live is going to further feed my spirit. Thank you so much. I hope it does. I really, truly does. Hope it does. Let's see. I think I got everybody's comments. So let me get into some of the points. So we're on point number 1. Now, here's the biggest part. When we're talking about 8 things that toxic people do, how many of those that are toxic, we know there's no accountability when it comes to them. All they ever do is blame another person. It was because you did this. Don't we hear that all the time? Or even sometimes it could be us. Yeah, you did this to me, and if you weren't there, and if this didn't happen, and if my mama didn't do this, and my daddy or my cousin, my brother, my sibling, it's always somebody else's fault. They're always blaming somebody else, but never saying what they do. Part of being a mature and grown woman, or a mature and grown man, is saying, okay, this is what they did, but also identifying, what did I do? And what did I allow? Because many times we allow people too much freedom, too much mind control, that we give them too much energy. We allow people to get us upset and angered. But if we don't give people that power, they can't get that rise. Okay. So once we know that, well, once we know our worth, once we know what we can do, then we're not going to allow people to disrespect us. We're going to only allow people who will be accountable for their actions. See, well, I'm talking about the real grown and mature people. And the more you come into your own, you learn that if somebody cannot assume accountability for themselves, then that means they have not matured fully yet. How many of us know people who are like that, that are not accountable for anything that they do? They're always blaming somebody else. It was my ex, it was my mama, it was my cousin, it was the job, my car. If this didn't happen, if that didn't happen, it's always the situation. It's always another person. It's always somebody else to blame. They are never saying, I was wrong for that. I should not have done that. I should have woke up earlier. I should have planned better. I should have used my finances better. See, that's, I'm talking about maturity. And it's not easy to be mature, because when we are mature, that means sometimes we have to be very open. We have to be honest. We have to assume responsibility, and we have to say when we do wrong. And that the majority of toxic people never will assume that they're wrong. It's always, no, you did this. If it wasn't for you, and it wasn't for that, and if it wasn't for my mom, and if it wasn't for this job, if it wasn't for the past relationship, never saying what they did. And that is the very key identifying mark of a toxic person, because if you cannot be accountable for your actions, how can you be stronger? How can you grow? How can you love yourself? How can you do what you need to do in your life? You can't. See, we grow the more we learn. And there are many people who aren't willing to learn. You know, they get comfortable. They get comfortable being in the space of non-growth. They get comfortable in zero activity. They get comfortable in being lazy. And oftentimes it's because they don't have enough confidence. They don't have enough love for themselves, and knowing that I deserve better. And I say that to anybody who has toxic people in their life, whether it's a spouse, significant other, a friend, a sibling, a relative, your children, a job, any people around you that are toxic, they will be draining to you, and it will stop you, slow you down, and hinder your progress in your life. I'm speaking that from experience. When you stay around people who are not growing, people who are always blaming other people, or they're always waiting for other people to help them out and support, they don't do things that they need to do for themselves. You know, and it's not our job to raise a grown man. It's not our job to raise a grown woman. And I understand that a lot of people may be the age of being grown, but they have not matured. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later in today's discussion. So let's see what I'm missing. Okay, Shay, thank you so much. Yes, it's so right. And it's so true. So right and so true. Yes. Shay says, that's right. As I matured, I grew closer to God. Disrespect was no longer on the table. Yeah, we have to learn how to be respectful. You know, like I said, if we don't respect ourselves, then are we going to respect others? Most likely not, you know. Yeah, they just move on, repeating patterns, never healing and growing. Yep. And that's what I talk about all the time, about healing our wounds from the past. Is so important, that no matter what you have gone through, no matter what you have done. Yeah, I know it's freezing. I don't know if it's StreamYards or it's YouTube. I'm not sure. Yeah, it gets old after a while that a person doesn't want to take accountability for their actions. I remove myself from that person. That's what we have to do. A person not accountable to themselves can't be accountable to anyone else. Yeah, you can't. Because until we make a decision to do better, nothing is going to get better, right? Let's go on to point number three. 8 things that toxic people do. Coming at number three. A toxic person doesn't respect others' thoughts, opinions, and boundaries. How many of us know somebody who is like that? They only think about their opinions and they will overtalk other people. They will always tell other people that they're wrong. And they are the ones that don't know. Most of the time, toxic people don't know all the facts. Sometimes they're very ignorant, and they only want their way. It's their way or the highway. And that's a very difficult person. It's a very harsh personality to deal with, somebody who wants to control the thoughts of other people. They want to control others' opinions. And when people put boundaries in place, they don't care because they want to do what they want to do. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care how it makes another person feel. They don't respect anybody because they don't respect themselves, because they're toxic, you know? And those are the type of individuals that we have to be very careful about being around too long, because they're draining, extremely, extremely draining. Let's see. Waiting for my comments to come up. Okay. Yeah, it's sad, but it is so true. So let's go on to the next point. So I can put the link here in the chat after I get through my next 4 points. So, point number 4 of 8 things toxic people do is they speak more than they listen. Hmm. Have you ever heard of it's usually the people who are so ignorant, the people who don't know anything, and they always have so much to say. It's like a person, for example, it's like a man giving how it is to be a woman. It's like, how do you know that? Are you a woman? Have you ever experienced what it's like to be a woman? And vice versa, a woman saying how it is to be a man. Neither one can, we can talk about the qualities maybe of the opposite sex, but we can never say what it is like, because you have never walked in those shoes. And even if you have, everybody's situation is different. And that's one of the things that kind of annoys me about a person who is very controlling and very toxic. They will overtalk everybody. They don't listen. They speak way more than they listen. They're not willing to grow. They're not willing to expand. They're not willing to learn. So, you have to meet people where they are. And some people just want to stay on this low plane. Some people just want to only talk with people who will agree with them, right? It's only the people that agree with them are the only people that they want to talk with and associate and listen to. They only want to be around people that they can control, like a little puppet, to do whatever they want. So they speak more than they listen. And that's not a good thing. One thing my dad used to always say: you have 2 ears and you have 1 mouth. So you should listen 2 times more than you talk. So, I'm still working on it, but I think I'm doing way better than I used to. I'm trying to work on becoming a better listener and not listening as to respond. That's something that I can't speak for everybody. I'm speaking about my own self and my personal growth and journey. But most of the time, when someone is talking to us, do we talk and we talk with the motive of a response, what we want to say back, or are we listening so as to get the point of what that person is trying to tell us? So, not all the time when somebody says something to us is for a solution. Sometimes people just want support. Some people just want to vent. And we need to learn to be sympathetic, compassionate to others. And those are qualities that toxic people just do not have. They don't know anything about compassion and understanding and patience and kindness, all of those things, and being loving. Those are not qualities of a toxic people, because it's all about them and what they want, and all they care about is, this is what I have to say, and this is what how it's going to be, and I don't want to hear what you have to say. Just very controlling, domineering, and those sorts of personalities can be very offensive and abrasive. And I know that many of us have to deal with that in management, with maybe your boss, maybe a sibling, or your ex, or whoever it is. We all know people like that in our life, that they love to do a lot of talking, but they don't like to do a lot of listening. And when you speak more than you listen, you don't give yourself an opportunity to grow. And we want to grow. We want to be better. We want to be better women, and we want to be better men as well. So Miss Eunice says, I don't even waste my time with a person that doesn't respect my thoughts and boundaries. When a person is like that, there's no changing them. It's not my job to change them. It's not. Yes. Yes. Slow about speaking and swift about hearing. When you're talking, you're only talking about what you know. You can't learn. Yeah. And a lot of times we think we know a situation, and I'm learning to be a slow listener, learn to slow down. But living in this microwave society where it's geared for us to not be good listeners, right? It's geared for us to, like, come on, hurry up, get to the point, because everything has to be like right here, right now. Hurry up! I want the answer. I want the solution. I want it, and we want what we want right now. We're not willing to wait, and that can cause us to start to develop some toxic behaviors, and it's not good. We especially need to learn to slow down with your parents, your older family members and friends. We get so used to, yes, on a job you got to hurry, and you have deadlines to meet, and on it goes. But when it comes to your children, when it comes to your spouse, your significant other, your friends, the people that you care about and love, you cannot treat them the same way. That it's not a business transaction. These are people that care about you. So we have to think about what others want. What do they need? And have you asked them? That's a part of growing, is allowing ourselves to say, maybe I don't know all the answers, and learning to ask questions. That's a huge part of showing that we are not toxic, is we don't always know. Okay? We don't always know. Yes. They won't change. They won't change. Mm-mm-mm. That's the sad part, is that they won't change. Okay, let's go into my next point. I think I have four more, and then I'm going to put the link in the chat. So, point number 5, 8 things that toxic people do. They have poor communication skills. They have poor, or they have zero communication skills. Some people, they think that communication means yelling and arguing, and they feel, if you don't do what I say, then and whatever, if I can't control you, then they're done with you. And that's not what communication goes both sides. It's an even exchange from one person to the other. You say this, and then I say that. And I know that I have had people in my life that overtalk. They don't listen. They do what they want to because they don't care, because they're toxic, and they're a user. They're very manipulative, just like the definition of being toxic. Like I stated in the beginning, if a person is like this, we cannot change them. We cannot then make them be better, because they have made that decision to be toxic. Just like myself earlier, I remember when I was younger, when I was immature, and I had not grown into my own and learned to love myself. Until a person makes a decision that they want to be better, that they want to make changes, that they don't want to be how they always have been, they're going to be stuck. Until a person makes a decision to love themselves, until a person makes a decision to forgive themselves and to move on, they're going to stay in that mode of toxicity. Yes, they have a great communication for toxicity. Yes. Yeah, they choose a side. Yes, Shay. They choose to take the side of being mean and evil and controlling. That's the side that toxic people choose the majority of the time. So let's go on to point number 6. We got two more points after this one. So point number 6 is toxic people, they don't mature or grow emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and financially. We've seen them. You know, you could see them. Okay, say now we're in 2024. Look back 10 years to 2014. How were they then? Are they still doing the same things? You know, everybody should be at a space of elevation and personal growth. And I'm not comparing to any two people because everybody grows and matures at different rates and modes, but everybody should be doing something to work on themselves and to grow emotionally. You know, how they handle their emotions. Do they speak up? Do they work on their communication skills? And are they elevating spiritually? You know, and learning to not be like fly off the handle at every single thing. You should be developing peace of mind and self-control, calmness, um, you know wisdom, learning how to control your tongue and to not say everything that you want to say, because once you say something to somebody you cannot take it back. And I think everybody has done that from time to time, said something and then later regretted it. But people who are toxic do not care when they hurt, when they offend, when they disrespect anybody, because it's all about them. It has nothing to do with you. They don't care. And most of the time, people who are toxic, they only want to pull from you financially. They're always, I call it dry begging. Always, they have their hand out. Can you give me $10? Can I hold $10? Can I hold $20? Can I have 50? Can I'll give you my income tax. I'll give you on payday. I'll give you. They're always begging 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100, $200. And guess what? They haven't given you back the last 50, 100, 200, whatever dollars. So, it's just, it's exhausting. When you're around people who are toxic, it's exhausting. I have had several toxic people in my life, and I include myself in that number. I'm not embarrassed of who I was. I'm not embarrassed that I needed to grow up and I needed to mature and to elevate, because it was the truth. I needed to stop being acting like a little kid and be a grown woman, accept my own responsibility, speak up and ask for the things that I want, and stand, firm on firm ground with what I believe. This is what I want, and you're not going to change it. You're not going to control me. See, until somebody knows who they are, what they want, learning to love themselves, having confidence, are aware of themselves, and can set boundaries, you're going to always let other people pull you from this direction to that direction. You'll never be happy until you know how to be happy from within. And I speak that from experience. Until I learn to be happy with me, I can never be happy in any other relationship. And many people who are toxic don't get that concept. They always feel like it's me against the world, that everybody's always against me. I hear that all the time, in talking with other people when I'm mentoring and counseling. They're always blaming somebody else for their situation. They're always blaming everybody else for their difficulties when, I ask a question, but what did you do? Or what have you done? Or what have you not done? Yes, sometimes it's people do X, Y, and Z, but also what did you not do? How did you hesitate? How did you procrastinate? You know, where were you wrong in this equation as well? So if you're going to come, like I always say, come correct. Don't leave out big important pieces of the story, that it's not always 100% others' fault. What have I done? It takes two people in a relationship, any relationship. Okay. And we have to assume what we do wrong and grow up and mature. And on the other side, they have to assume the responsibility and grow or mature, or you have to leave them alone and walk away. That's just the reality of it. Let's go to the chat. Yes, they sure don't. Very, very sinister. Very. Yes, they don't always ask. There's sometimes a pity party in hopes of you giving. They know you will give. Very manipulative. Yeah, they know you will give if you don't know about your boundaries. Yes, inner peace and calmness can't be purchased. It can't. So it's so important to learn to love yourself from within. Okay, everybody, we're on point number 7. Here is the point where I put this invite link in the chat. I'm going to get this invite link. I'm going to put it in the chat because after this, we got one more point. And yeah, so let me put this here. Okay, so point number 7, everybody. Okay. Okay, point number 7. 8 things toxic people do. Number 7, they want to take the easy route. Okay? That they're always trying to undermine, trying to, do some underhanded things under the table, really sneaky things, right? They're always looking for shortcuts instead of doing the right thing. See, because if you do the right thing all the time, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about who's coming for you because you already know you're doing the right thing. And many people who are toxic are always looking over their shoulder because they know that they have hurt, they have offended, they have manipulated, they have done so many wrong things to so many people. And it's just a matter of time before it will catch up to you, right? It's just a matter of time before it catches up to you. Hey, Slasher Chick, how are you doing, Alicia? Happy Friday. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Yes. How many of us know people who are like this, right? They want to take the easy route. They don't want to do the right thing. They always want to take shortcuts instead of doing the right thing. Okay. Now, sometimes that could be us. Let's be honest. We try to take the easy route, because we're working on personal growth and development, elevation, strength, maturity, and elevating our light. So we have to learn also as well to do the right thing. Do the right thing, and you won't have to worry. You won't have to worry about trying to come up with a story because you stand on the truth, because you do the right thing, because you stay positive, because you treat people with respect. See, when you do things the right way, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry. You don't have to run. You don't have to hide because you know you're doing what you're supposed to do. Okay. So a lot of people who are toxic, they always want to take the back road, the underhanded road, they're always doing something, Marlene's term, snakish, because they are like a snake slithering on the ground, always low to the ground, doing something very low vibrational, very negative, very hurtful, and very evil. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are very sinister, very dark, and they will be willing to do anything to harm another person in order to get the things that they want. They don't care who they offend. They don't care who they step on so that they can elevate. As long as they elevate, all they care about is themselves. And unfortunately, sometimes that could be a spouse, a significant other. It could be a sibling, a relative, a friend, or I call them frenemies. So we have to be so careful of paying attention to people and their actions. It's very important. Pay attention to the actions of people, not what they say. And oftentimes we get in that mode of always talking about how much we love somebody or going by the outside, what a person buys. They're buying you they're showing you love. They're buying you things. Well, they buy me this and they bought me this house and car, but then they treat you like garbage. They treat you like crap, you know, and you don't deserve that, you know. Buying you a gift and then yelling at you, screaming at you, putting you down, embarrassing you in front of people. That's not, no. It's more than just money. It's more than just finances to life. It's how a person treats you. It's how do they respect you. You know, we deserve way better than to settle, you know, and that message is for somebody. We deserve more than just settling. We do. Okay. And we're here on the last points. Okay. And the link is there in the chat. Point number 8. 8 things toxic people do. Toxic people associate with toxic people and they stay stuck in toxicity. See, you are who you associate with. And if you associate with negative people, cheating people, evil people, lying people, manipulating people, using people, weak-minded people, low energy, low vibrational, and the list goes on and on, narcissistic. If you associate with those type of people, that is who you become, whether you want to or not. And you can say that person's a good person, but they're toxic. If a person's actions, if their motives is showing up toxic and using negative and evil, that is what you will become. If you continue to associate with people who are toxic and hurting people and manipulating and doing underhanded and evil things, you will become just like them, whether you want to or not. You see, you may come so far away from who you were originally. And I feel like I'm going to speak a message and testify to somebody's spirit and their soul. But when we get into relationships, sometimes we get into the relationship because we're so, you know, won over. Oh, look at how beautiful, look at how handsome they are, look at the flashy car, look at the job. We get caught up in the status instead of who they are inside, who they are, that secret person of the heart. Okay, are they the type of person? Do they have a good heart? Do they treat other people kindly? How do they treat their older people in their life? How do they treat their children? You know, how are they showing up? What is their trademark? What is their legacy? You know, what are they identified as? Are they identified with toxicity? Then before you know it, you will become just like them. And I don't want that to happen to any of you beloved motivators, not any one of you. I don't want you to become toxic. And we have to be careful in identifying, because sometimes those same people that we love so much, that we care about so much, it's our own brothers or sisters, aunts and cousins, children, spouses, significant other. It could be your child's mother or your child's father. It could be a friend. It could be a coworker. Anybody who is making you feel drained and weak, or is a person who's always using and taking and taking and taking and never giving back to you. They don't care about anybody other than themselves. They only care about their motives, their agendas, what they want, because it's all about them. That's all. They don't care if you want or you need something. Do you think they ever call to check on you? How are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need something? No, it's always about them and what they want and having their hand out. Give me. And they want you to give them right here, right now. They're always asking for you to do more and more and more and more for them. And the more you do for them is the more they're going to ask, until you come up having nothing. And then when you're at zero, guess what happens next? They discard you and move on to the next, just like a leech. You know, the leeches who suck a person's blood, they're going to suck you until you're dry. And then when they say, okay, this one's empty, time to move on to the next person. And that's what a toxic person does. They just go from one person to the next, using, taking, manipulating, and controlling, and back again. taking, controlling, manipulating, and using, and back again, until they get caught. Like, you're not going to do that over here. You're not doing that with me. No, no, no. We are not doing that. Mm-mm. Not me, not ever. Let's see. It definitely comes with consequences. Definitely. Yes, they validate each other. He's a good man, she's a good woman, but they lie, and deceive. Yes. Toxicity feeds toxicity. Yes. You are going to be who you associate with. That's what a lot of people don't understand. A person could say they're good. See, but what really is good? What is really the true definition of good? Does it mean that a person is a good person because they can give you material things, or is that person a good person because they can be there in person and supporting and talking to you and communicating with you? There's a lot of people out there, their motives and their focus is only on what they can get, what they need, or showing themselves to be like, look how good we're doing because I have these certain brands of clothes, I have this house, I have this car. When at the end of the day, what does a house and a car mean if you don't have a good relationship, if you don't have somebody to support you and build you up and be kind to you and be loving and being supportive and understanding? But that's what a toxic person will do. They'll keep using, they will keep taking, they will keep manipulating, and repeat. Yes, they don't show up for you when you need them, but they will be the first one to reach out in their time of need. Yep. They don't care anything about what you want. They only care about what they want. Hey, Boss Life Online, how are you doing? Welcome in. Okay, I'm going to put the link in here one more time. If there is anybody who wants to come up and share their thoughts, the link is there. Yes, it's a very hard pill to digest. And while that I'm, at this point of this discussion, I definitely want to say tomorrow will be the empowerment conference for members only. I'm going to do the empowerment conference. I looked and I believe that I got 60% of the votes was for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to check it again, but I believe so. Let me look on my community. Let's see what the votes are. Yeah, it's 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow will be the empowerment conference, and we're going to be, I put the topic there on the for members only on the community tab. So, well, members, make sure you take a look, and I will see you guys there tomorrow. And we have Shay Love here in the background. Let's add her to the show. Hi, Shay.
Hey, Marlene, how are you today?
I'm doing awesome.
And hello to everybody in the chat. Once again, awesome live. It resonates on so many levels here. You pretty much hit every point. It's really not even much to add on to. Seriously, you laid everything out. It was so well put together. But just to say a brief word, it's not easy, y'all. It is not easy coming out of this mind space. It is not easy to accept the role we play and people mishandling us, mistreating us, and pretty much getting over on us. And I can't speak for everybody else, but when you're just loving and trusting, when you have a loving and trusting spirit dwelling within you, that's why it's hard to accept that accountability, to accept your role, even if your role is something as simple as you allowed. You allowed it to happen. No matter why you allowed it, it could be because of your love, the relationship, the time in which you've known somebody. But we're literally stabbing ourselves all over more when we allow these things to continue. And again, I can't speak for anybody else, but I had to go and connect with some supernatural power, honey. Okay. God had to help me come up out of the situation because, as Marlene was saying earlier, people who do these things, they're in close vicinity to us. It's not normally people who are far off. It'll be people you have that bond with, people that you share this deep seated love for. And it's nothing wrong with you. Sometimes that's what keeps a lot of people, from making a proper, moves as far as getting themselves out of that situation, because you'll think it's your fault. And that's just not the case. Some people truly take advantage of your vulnerability. They'll take your kindness for weakness. They'll take the best parts of you and weaponize them against you. It's a real thing, y'all. I lived through it, and I just thank God for putting me back in control of my mind and knowing, hey, that's not okay. Hey, that's not normal. Because anyone who wants to do that to you, trust me, something is not all the way, together in their mindsets. Okay. So yeah, just my little spat, Marlene, because you really said it all. You tied everything in together, so well. These things happen, and it is not always easy to accept that accountability. But being someone who did, y'all, it is so much more refreshing when you come up out of it. You don't hate people who do these things. If anything, you feel bad for them in a sense, but not to allow yourself to get back into the situation. So that's my thing. I know it's hard, but it is possible. Marlene has brought herself through it. I've brought myself through it. We'll get through it. And surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals who want to see you do better, who want the best for you, that's more, reassuring as well. Like Marlene says, toxicity breeds toxicity. Toxicity hangs around toxicity, and you have to leave those people where they are, because until they mature and see something wrong with their actions, there's no way they're going to change, right? They stay comfortable in that headspace.
They stay comfortable being evil because that's all they've been used to now. And it gets comfortable, it gets easy because they're used to that. The easy money, they're used to being rude and disrespectful and mean and grimy and all of those things. And they don't want to do better. And until a person wants to change inside in their heart and come to make a recompense, or make come to say, this is what I did and I was so wrong and I want to do better. Until somebody gets to be in that space to say, I have done wrong and I want to do better, nothing will change until a person wants to admit what they've done and say, I got to do better than this.
That's right. That's right. And like you said about circles, if you're surrounded by people who are vibration and it's very, very low vibrational way, you're going to stay. You're going to stay that way. You'll never advance. You'll never mature. And a lot of times these, quote unquote friends, they carry the crab in a bucket mentality, meaning they don't want you to do well, and some of them lack the capacity to even come up out of it. So yeah, our circles are very important. I've watched people be devoured in circles. People have become something that they're truly not, okay? Because they'll get intertwined with the wrong people, and that can be dangerous, who we surround ourselves with. That can be very, very dangerous. So yeah, we just have to be very, very careful with the circles. Again, it plays a big part in how we think and the choices that we make. And, that could be, it can steer you down the wrong path.
Exactly, Shay. And I have to say that, just like you said, until a person makes a decision to want to be better, to want to do better, and they choose to, like, I don't want to associate with these certain people, I want to do the right thing. And for me, it was more than just saying it. Because it's easy to say out of our mouth, I'm going to do better, I want to do better. We could be saying we're going to do something for 10, 15, 20 years, but what is our actual proving? So for myself, I knew that I wanted to do better, so I had to put in the work. Like, I had to change my circle, I had to change my thoughts, I had to change my actions, and I also had to change my mindset, because a lot of times the toxicity lies in that negative mindset, and the things that we think about is who we become. So if you're only thinking about how you can get over on people and how you can get their money and steal and thieve and destroy and cheat and just talk about people and gossip and hurt people, if that's all you are trying to do, you will stay in that toxic space. And until I learn to, like, just even some TV programs I don't even watch anymore, certain people I cannot associate with, and certain things I can no longer do because I don't want to be who I was formerly, because our associates, the things that we read, what we watch, the music we listen to, everything, all of it is wrapped up in who we become. You become what you think about, what you do, who you listen to, what you talk about. And have you ever heard the toxic people? All their conversation is always complaining and talking about other people, but they're never looking. But and I'm like, look at you, but look at what you do. Look at what you
Right. Right. It happens too often. It happens too often. And again, it's a sad reality. It truly is a sad reality. But we're not warned to guard our minds for nothing, okay? Because I mean, if that mind can be infiltrated, honey, for negative purposes, what's going to happen is it's going to show in your fruits. It's literally by our fruits that we're known. That's why, like you mentioned earlier, we have to stay away from the wordplay. Some people are really good at wordplay. A circular conversation will keep you on a hamster wheel, honey. A master manipulator, trust me, they study these crafts. They know what they're doing, gaslighting and all of that, not answering your questions. You ever, are trying to have a conversation with someone, you ask them a question, and the last thing they do is answer. They're moving that goalpost over and over again. You have to be mindful of that. That's manipulation going on. So yeah, you'll never truly get through to people like that. It's like you stated, we have to set boundaries, because a lot of times that can be a loved one. That could be your husband, your sister, your child. It could be someone you have children with. So how do you function in those situations? You have to not only set boundaries, honey, you have to stand on them, because a manipulator knows one thing. They're very good at that one thing, and that's manipulating us. So yeah, we have to control our mind, be mindful of what we read, what we are allowing in, because it will mold us one way or another. And before long, honey, you've been transformed in the wrong direction. And it's not easy to come up out of it. So it takes work, like you said a minute ago. It takes real work to move forward in a positive way. You have to be willing to put it in, and not worry about anyone else has to say about it.
right. And the thing about it is that I know we've talked about this many times, Shay, about love bombing. There's a lot of people, and what they do is they love bomb you into getting control over your mind. So they'll tell you they love you so that you'll do what they say. Oh, I love you so much, and if it wasn't for you, and they'll play on the guilt, and they'll play on your support, or they'll try to make you feel guilty. But I did this for you last year. You can't do this one thing for me. And now they have you in the loop again, most of the time doing things that you don't want to do, things that bother your conscience, or get you in line that has your salvation and your soul at stake. So we have to be very careful about what we allow other people to do in the name of love. Just because a person says they love you, it doesn't mean that they do by their actions. They only love what they can control.
Oh, honey, now that was a jewel there. You hit the nail on the head. Yes. An enemy truly weaponizes that love bombing. Love bombing is cruel. Honey, I've been there. A love bomber is so good at that. You're right. And they'll be telling you all these good things in your ear, telling you exactly what you want to hear. And on the flip side, a lot of times they'll be down on you. They'll be downplaying things, you included. So you have to be on the lookout. I'm telling you, love bombing is something that, discernment really is needed for love bombing, because again, they know what their plans are in their minds. And normally if someone is love bombing you, you're not the only one. Trust me, that's what makes it so sinister. And it got to the point where as I took back control over my life in different situations, you can smell the love bombing coming. It gets to where they do things like you were saying. It's like a hamster wheel. People's patterns. They a love bomber is going to always love bomb. They're going to go off and do all of the other things, but they are definitely coming back in with a love bomb because it's a pattern. And a lot of times they don't even understand, why where did this boldness come from in you? How dare you set a boundary? What are you? And they'll try to downplay what you have going on and, sweep things under the rug. But we have to stand 10 toes down on those boundaries, y'all. It is so important to keep us healthy, especially in the mind. Okay. Because again, where the mind goes, the body follows. And that's why these tactics take aim at our mind. And like you just said a minute ago, Marlene, to have that control. And they'll try to, tie in love with it. You got to be mindful of people pushing that love propaganda. I'm going to tell you, you have to be careful of it because a lot of time it's a facade and it's not what it is. So, yeah, it's something, a manipulator or toxic people. You just have to pay attention because the signs are truly there, y'all. They're there. It's just a lot of times we're not paying attention. And that's a part of accepting the accountability. I wasn't paying attention. No matter why you were, it doesn't make you guilty. You're not wrong. But even accepting that small role will help you heal because that was your part in it, So yeah, it's ways to come out of things. Sometimes that accountability, it doesn't mean, you quote unquote allowed her to play the big role. Even if it was a small role, you have to nip that in the bud, so you can regain your sanity.
Yeah. And the thing about that is that we could be in with toxic people because you could be surrounded by it everywhere. At your job, you got toxic people. With your relatives, you got toxic. You could be married to a toxic person or be in a relationship with someone's toxic. You can have friends that are toxic. So it's like you feel like you can never get away with it. But how it shifts and changes is we have to make sure that we're not. That's
right.
That's where it ends. That's where all of the tactics, no matter what they want to do, it shouldn't infiltrate into us. What you want to do, that you do what you want to do, but I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to love myself. I'm going to treat others the way that they deserve to be treated, even if you don't. And I had to learn about that love bombing, that it doesn't mean that I'm not a good person because I won't allow myself to be used, because I was in that loop for a long time. Like I would say, but I love them. And I was like, but you're the one that is enabling more toxicity. So we also have to not be enablers to toxic behavior. Like we have to be like, that's wrong. And because that's wrong, I'm not going to support it. You need to get yourself together and do the right thing. And then when they see that, like, okay, they're going to make me be accountable, they're going to do two things. Either they're going to make changes and do the right thing, or they're going to run because they're not willing to change.
And unfortunately, they normally take the latter part. They run, honey. Because once you those boundaries get concreted in, they'll have no choice but to run, because it will take work to become better. It's going to take work to transition for the better, and people don't understand that us that are in this social media thing, the people you hang around online can have just as much of an influence on you as people in real life. This is a real thing. I've witnessed this happen firsthand. A lot of these people here, they go further than social media, off of social media. They all in group chats, phone calls. The toxicity bleeds over into your real life. And now you're having issues in your real life stemming from groups of people that you decide to partner up and buddy up with, here in social media. People downplay this. But this is a real thing. Association. I don't care if it's face to face, honey. I don't care if it's emails. It doesn't matter. Bad association is going to ruin whatever useful habit you're trying to spend. I'm going to tell you, because before we can turn evil to good, okay, evil will devour you. You have to be careful of that. We have to get in our mind that, hey, I can't change you. I don't want to change you, but I can change myself. I can change what is attracting me to this evil. I can change what's drawing me in, and like you said just a second ago, just being in the presence of it alone can have such a major impact, on us. So, it does us well. It serves us very well when we can sit down and meditate on these things and make the proper changes, because a lot goes into toxicity, a whole lot. And as you become more aware of the tactics, because they're very sinister, that's how you know where it originates. Very sinister tactics. Once you're aware of it, you can point it out. Oh wow, this is toxic. But if you're asleep and you're not sure what's going on, that's when you stay on that hamster wheel. And sometimes when you get off of it, that doesn't mean the other person is going to. That takes strength. Like you say, regroup, get you a circle that's putting into you, so that's pouring back into you. Because a toxic person, one of the biggest red flags is you're always pouring into them. And then two, actions not always matching up with the words and actions is being completely different. So yeah, these crafty these crafty tactics, can have our lives completely turned upside down. So y'all, we have to be careful and not be afraid to set these boundaries, because if you really knew what's really going on behind all of that, you'll realize that it's really meant to tear you down. A person will want you tore down onto their level, even when all you're doing is trying to uplift them to where you are. So yeah, it just does well to get in control of that mind, Marlene. I'm telling you, honey.
I'm telling
you. Let the wrong force get that mind, you are in trouble.
Yes. And one thing that I definitely learned is a lot of times people will be upset because you're calling them out, exposes them. And that's what they cannot stand. Woo. Because now they can't get away with anything anymore.
That's right.
That mask falls off and everybody can see exactly who they are. So that's why they run away from you, because they know they can't fool you.
That's right. They can no longer fool you. They still may be able to fool others, but it is written that a fool's folly will be made known for everybody to see. That's why God tells us to stand down. A fool and his folly, honey, eventually everybody's going to see it. Okay. But they'll get to a point where they are bound to their folly because they don't want to step away from it. And they don't even have a way they don't even know which way to really turn, because they'll become bounded, or bound, to certain situations. So yeah, you're right. People, we just have to do better. It sounds really, just, plain Jane, but everything plays a part or plays a role in who we are, in our actions, everything as far as, like friends, friend group. I can't speak for everybody else, but I watch who my friends are friends with as well. You have to be mindful of that, because if I watch you befriending somebody with all of these toxic traits, why would I want to befriend you? We have to pay attention to that. If I see, you're going along with your buddy with people who are lying, cheating, fornicating, and all of this, I see that you roll with people who do that. I don't want to be a friend to you. Yeah, we have to be careful with that. A real friendship is not what the world, dictates it to be. So that's how I think we get into the trap from the get-go. And you're calling everybody your friend, and a lot of times we find out, once we're on life support, hey, that wasn't my friend. Once the poop hits the fan, it's like, wow, that wasn't really a friend, when there are red flags there. And we just have to have that love for self, be willing to set, proper boundaries, and, we'll get it together if there's something we truly want to do.
Exactly. And the whole thing is what you just said. When it has been highlighted, when we see, okay, the mask has dropped off, you see their negativity, you see their lies, their inconsistencies, their drama, their whatever, their poor behavior, or whatever it is that they are doing. So when somebody shows you who they are, will you have enough courage to believe it? That's one of the things that I think many of us struggle with, right? Many people struggle and say, well, that's my mom, or that's my child, that's my husband, that's my wife, that's my significant other, baby's mother, baby's father, whoever the person may be. That's my friend. So people will more align with a title, because that's my mom or my cousin, my spouse, my this, my that. They care more about titles than who a person really is and how they're affecting us. And I know for myself, I've been around people who have been making me feel bad about myself. They're stopping me from growing and elevating because they're taking from my energy, they're taking from my power, they're taking from my resources. And if we keep allowing it, we're going to hit rock bottom trying to support them. That's the problem.
Yes.
You'll
Oh my
lose
gosh.
everything. You'll lose your self-respect. You'll lose your confidence. You'll lose your money.
Right.
You'll lose everything trying to
Oh
follow
yeah.
toxic people.
You sure will. They drag you down to where they are again, and that's the whole purpose. That is the whole purpose. If you only knew how strategic people can be, sometimes that is the purpose to knock you off of your block. When in actuality, you can always, jealousy plays a big part in these things too. People hate to see your shine, and instead of asking, hey Marlene, hey Shay, how did you do this? How did you do that? People, instead of them doing that, a lot of times it'll just turn to hatred. And I'm gonna tell you, that whole believe people when they show you the first time. I can't speak for anybody else, y'all, but sometimes that is so hard. I had to work really, really hard because sometimes you'll be in disbelief. Someone that you're loyal to, faithful, somebody that you probably lay your life down for, and you see them just playing the games. You see what they're doing. Sometimes you go through this state of numbness. I know I did. I'm like, I could not believe it. It took God to literally step in, and honey, when I tell you, he came firm because he knew where my heart was. And if God hadn't came in, who knows where I would have been? I don't even think about it. I just thank God that he did. But sometimes it's really, really hard, y'all. But that is a true saying. When people show you who they are, believe them. But a master manipulator is going to go into overtime to overpower our logical thinking. That's why it's harder to break away. I know you probably can resonate with that, Marlene. It can be hard, but you got to, muster up the strength and do it. You have to do it, y'all, because otherwise they'll pull you down to where they are. Yeah.
And the whole thing about it, Shay and chat, all of you, is that there's expectation versus reality. So a lot of times we will expect for people to do X, Y, and Z, but then here comes the reality. And here comes what they say they're going to do, but all the time they're talking about what they're about to do. I'm fit into, I'm fixing to,
Ooh,
I'm
honey,
about
that's
to, I was just about
right.
to do that. And they're always 10, 15, 20 years they're fixing to, I was just about to do that, and you didn't give me an opportunity. So there's the excuses, the gaslight,
That's right.
manipulation. So that's why I'm saying the expectation is this, and it's very important to have expectations, but it's another thing versus the reality. In the real time, in the present, how are they treating you? In the real
That's
time,
right.
support you. In the real time, how do they treat other people, their children, their parents, their whoever, their job? Are they a loyal person, or do they act grimy? That's the
Oh yes.
that's the real.
Yeah, I say that a lot. You have to get to know people. I'm gonna tell you, like you have to, like, you're right. What kind of parent are they? How do you know what relationship do they have with their parents? I'm telling you, we jump so far ahead of that. We jump ahead of the gun. And next thing you know, we're in a situation that's very, very unfavorable to us. And we're trying our best to get, out of it. And that's just a really disappointing thing, but it happens a lot. And again, it's not someone distant from us who normally, burdens us down with these things. Like you say, it's someone close. It's a close knitted relationship where you even feel guilty if you don't give people another chance or opportunity, to make amends. But eventually, you have to work on self. See, as long as you work on self, that's going to become a thing of the past. You will, glow up. Okay, you will eventually prevail and be victorious over these people, but it takes true work on behalf of self, because nothing satisfies people who think that way more than pulling you down, stomping all over you. So it takes work. But if you literally apply the things Marlene was just saying in this live, all these wonderful things, y'all, it truly, truly helps. Know that you are somebody. Understand that again, people aren't always going to give you what you give them. Again, that's a harsh reality. But yeah, working on self and knowing your self-worth is how we come up out of that. Not saying you don't love yourself prior. You just need to understand that, hey, I deserve better. I am better. I don't deserve this. Keep on, telling yourselves that as you're working on self. And before you know it, honey, it'll be like Marlene said, they're going to either turn around and get it together, or they are going to flee. But they're fleeing because you are resisting their tactics. Doesn't that sound familiar? Resist Satan and he'll flee. Okay.
Yeah.
Start resisting these negative things. And these people are either going to clean up or they're going to take their negativity on to the next. And in most cases, they take it on to the next. Yeah.
Yep. If they can't do this like a little puppet master and say dance dance dance, if some people, if they can't get you to do what they want, if they can't get you to follow what they say, if they can't know your business or whatever the case may be, or you're not doing what you all used to do, acting immature and ignorant, not planning, not using your money wisely, just acting very low vibrational and low energy. If you stay in that space, I get it that sometimes when we're younger and we don't know better, we don't know ourselves, but at a certain point, we should be saying, it's time for me to mature. It's time for me to elevate and to do better, because you get into a space now that now you're in a role of being somebody's looking up to you now. It could be your children, it could be a sibling, it could be your role at a job, but we have somebody now that we're responsible for, or persons that we're responsible for. And a lot of adults don't take that serious enough. They will choose a spouse or a sister or somebody above the right thing. And we all know what the right thing is, to do what we're supposed to do, protect and live our life, use our talents, use our gifts, and stay away from negativity. But it takes a very strong woman or a very strong man to be determined that no matter what this person or that person does, no matter what has happened to me in the past, it's about right now in my present and what I'm going to allow. And you got to not allow that toxicity from anybody.
That's right. Love on yourself, y'all. When it comes down to it, love on yourself. Respect yourself. Don't just expect man or woman to give it to you. Love on yourself. You don't want to be, like, again, you don't want to be that puppet. We don't want other people to have control of our emotions. They pull us up to the highs and then they drop us back down to the lows. And true love of self, not just that verbalizing it, truly loving yourself. Because when we truly love ourselves, truly, you're not going to allow the disrespect. I'm not saying you didn't love yourself when you did. You just needed to work on self a little bit more. You didn't have the proper nourishments coming in from the people who chose to do that to you. And again, that can put you in a peculiar situation. Gaslighting is a manipulation of the mind. People will make you question your reality. I've been there. Like Marlene said earlier, it'll be all types of broken promises and promises. You'll get a broken promise and a promise in the same sentence. Okay. So you have to be mindful. That's what makes it so hard though. Okay. Once you get confused in the mind, that's the enemy's go-to tactic. If I can have you confused in your mind, I got you. And gaslighting is one of those things. It'll make us question our reality, question what we know to be true. And what we know to be true is that we deserve better.
Exactly, Shay. It's exactly. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation and talk about these things, because I want all of you motivators to understand that we don't have to take it just because people want to give you crumbs or trash or garbage or be upset and angry and not use their gifts and waste their money and always think that we have to bail them out because we do the right thing and our credit is good and we are honest and people like us and we're in tune with our talents and gifts. There's a lot of people, because they don't know how to stand in their own truth and look at themselves in the mirror and receive themselves for who they are. Look at their own gifts and say, this is my gifts and I'm going to use it. It takes a lot of strength to be firm in that I love myself for who I am. I love myself for what I can do. Okay, Shay, thank you so much for coming up. I appreciate it. It takes a lot of strength for a person to know themselves and to love themselves and to be resilient enough to say, I don't have to put up with a person's foolishness. I don't have to downplay my gifts. And I did that for a very long time. I don't know who I'm going to be talking to in this moment, but for a long time, I did not use my gifts and my talents because I was so busy supporting them. You're always so busy helping them, and they always need you. They always want your support. And you never get to put yourself on the front burner. You're always putting yourself on the back burner or none at all, because they make you feel guilty that you want to use your gifts. They make you feel guilty that you have these talents. They make you feel guilty because you do the right thing. Okay. And you don't have to feel guilty. You know, I say this to all of you motivators. Don't let people manipulate your mind. Don't let people, because somebody asks you for money, it doesn't mean you have to give it to them. It don't matter who it is. Your mom, your child, your spouse, your friend. No. You need to do right, do better, do what you're supposed to do. It's not your responsibility to bail out grown people all the time. Okay. They have to do better. And until we stop enabling people in their toxic behavior, we will not stop being toxic. I want all of us to be in a space and position to know ourselves, to love ourselves, to use our gifts, and to not feel drained and feel like we have to, and feel guilty because we want to love ourselves, feel guilty because we're talented or we're good at something. Don't feel guilty. Don't be used. Don't be manipulated. And please, let's stop enabling other people in their toxicity. Thank you all so much for tuning into today's show. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much, Shayla, for coming up and your additional thoughts. And shout out to all my mods, Boss Life Online, Jackie Gaines, and Tamika, Miss Tamika. Who else came through? Nate the Great Podcast, Jessica Hicks, and anybody else. If I missed, Sugar Love. Thank you all so much for supporting me and supporting this channel. Slasher Chick, and Narc. Thank you all so much. I appreciate every single one of you support. And let's stop wasting our energy and our time with these low vibrational, weak-minded people and stand in our personal truth. Love yourself for the woman that you are. Love yourself for the man that you are. Be confident, be mature, and don't be manipulated by these toxic people. Know your worth. You are worthy, capable, and deserving. I am Marlene of Marlene Motivates, and you've tuned in to your dose of reality, dose of positivity. And I thank you all so much. Stay tuned tomorrow to all of my members. We're going to do an empowerment conference in member only at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I welcome you to tune into that. The topic is going to be on the community tab for you all. So be there, be on time. I think I'm going to make this one to be opened up so that you all, my members, can also chime in on the motivation and the empowerment. I look forward to it. I will see you all there tomorrow. And you all tune in for the Motivated Dailies. They are uploaded 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day, Monday to Sunday. I put in a lot of work into them to make sure they're uploaded and the thumbnails. So I would really appreciate it if you have not watched some of the Motivated Dailies. If you could please do so, I truly appreciate it. Thank you all so much for supporting me. Know yourself, love yourself, be your best self, and be encouraged. Be encouraged, and let's not be toxic. I'm Marlene of Marlene Motivates, and as I always say, just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life. I will see you all on Monday for the public and tomorrow for the channel members. Bye-bye, everybody.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it. Be encouraged, be be inspired. Be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? I forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? Ooh, hey, yeah.